I realized a man was following me when I saw his yellow backpack for the third time that day, on 3 different parts of the same loop. This was last fall in a state park about an hour from where I live. It was a weekday, cool and overcast, and my plan was a simple 12-mile loop I'd done once before. I signed in at the trailhead box around 9 a.m., locked my car, and headed into the woods alone. About half a mile in, I passed a guy in his 40s sitting on a rock, tying his boot. Yellow backpack, blue flannel, ball cap. I said hi. He nodded without really looking at me, and that was that. 2 miles later, at a junction, I stopped to check the map on my phone. I heard leaves crunch and turned around expecting to see someone coming from behind, but it was the same guy stepping out of the side trail I'd just come from. Yellow backpack, same clothes. Trail kind of loops around, he said. Easy to get turned around here. I joked that I hoped not, and kept walking. It was a loop with only one main direction. There wasn't really a way for him to have appeared there without either cutting through the woods or basically jogging around me. I told myself some people just walk faster, take longer breaks, whatever. By noon I was at the halfway point, a bluff that overlooks a river. It's the only real viewpoint on the loop, with a single bench. I stepped out of the trees and my stomach dropped a little. He was sitting on that bench alone. No one else was out there. I thought about turning around, but he'd already seen me. He watched me walk up, almost like he'd been expecting it. "Hey," he said. "You made it." His choice of words bothered me. I laughed it off and stood a good 10 feet away from the bench, near the edge where I could still see the trail. "Where'd you start from?" he asked. "You from around here?" "Hike alone a lot." He asked it like small talk, but it was the 3rd or 4th question in a row about me, and nothing about the trail itself. I gave vague answers. "Not too far." "Sometimes." My answers got shorter. He noticed. "You don't have to be rude," he said. His face didn't match his tone. He still had that polite half smile, but his eyes had gone flat. I said I needed to keep moving if I wanted to beat the rain, and started back onto the loop. He waited until I was almost past the clearing before calling out, "See you back at the lot." The way he said it made it sound less like a guess and more like a plan. I picked up my pace. For the next few miles, every noise behind me made my heart jump. Around mile 9, I stopped hearing birds and wind and only heard my own footfalls and breathing. I hadn't seen anyone else all day. At mile 10, I started hearing him again. It was the rhythm more than anything. 2 steps, slight drag, 2 steps. I didn't look back at first. I just walked faster. The sound got closer. Finally I turned. He was maybe 30 yards behind me, not even pretending it was a coincidence anymore. Same gear. No one else on the trail. "You're really booking it," he called. "What's the rush?" "It's going to rain," I said. "I don't want to be here in a storm." He smirked. "No cell service out here either. Bad place to twist an ankle." That was the comment that made my stomach actually flip. It was true. There hadn't been service since the bluff. I'd checked. The parking lot was about 1.5 miles from there. I knew once I got close I'd start hearing the highway. I also knew if I kept letting him walk right behind me, I'd have to deal with him at my car, with no witnesses and no service. So I stopped and stepped to the side, pretending to dig in my pack. "Go ahead," I said without looking up. "You're faster anyway." He walked past me slowly, too slow for someone in a hurry to finish a hike. As he passed, his shoulder brushed mine, even though there was plenty of room. He didn't say anything. Once he was a good distance ahead, I stayed put. I counted to 60 in my head twice before starting again. I didn't see him the rest of the way down, and by the time I heard the faint sound of the highway, I was almost running. What I didn't expect was to see his yellow backpack leaning against the back of my car when the trees opened up. He was standing by the driver's side door, head down like he was messing with something. When he heard the gravel under my boots, he straightened up and stepped back, shoving something into his pocket. "You weren't that far behind," he said. "Thought you bailed." I stopped about 20 feet away, far enough that he'd have to actually charge me to get close. My keys were in my hand. "I forgot something on the trail," I lied. "I think I dropped it near the last marker." He glanced at my pack, then at the empty lot. Mine was the only other car. "Want me to help you look?" he asked. "No," I said. "I'm good." We stared at each other a few seconds. Then, like some miracle, a Subaru pulled into the lot. A couple in their 50s stepped out with day packs. I didn't even pretend to be casual. I walked straight over to them and said, way too loudly, "Hey, sorry, are you guys starting the loop? I think I dropped my phone. Would you mind walking with me back to that last marker?" They looked confused but friendly. Before they could answer, the guy with the backpack slung it over his shoulder. "I'm heading out," he muttered. He got into an older sedan parked 2 spaces down and drove off faster than you'd usually pull out of a gravel lot. I ended up not going back on the trail. I sat with the couple at their car and pretended to check my found phone until he was definitely gone. Then I finally walked over to my own car to unlock it. That's when I saw the driver's side rear tire. The valve stem cap was on the ground next to it. The stem itself looked scratched, like someone had been trying to let air out but hadn't finished. I drove straight to the ranger station at the park entrance and told them everything. The ranger on duty wrote it all down, including his car description and the partial plate I'd managed to remember. A week later, I was scrolling a local hiking Facebook group and saw a post from a woman in a different park an hour away. She'd taken a picture from a distance of a man with a yellow backpack and a blue flannel and captioned it, "Heads up solo women, this guy followed me on the Ridge Loop today, waited at my car and messed with my tire. Reported to rangers." Different park, same description. Same pack, same MO. I don't know if they ever caught him. But now, whenever someone tells me hiking alone is only dangerous because of bears or getting lost, I think about that yellow backpack and how many loops he's probably still walking, waiting for someone without a witness.